All right. So Donald Trump is back in the White House, and two names keep popping up: Venezuela and Greenland. Now, on the surface, that sounds like politics and foreign policy. But for investors, it also raises a hard question. What does this mean for defense stocks and oil companies and the dividends that should show up in your account every quarter or monthly or annually? In this video, the goal is not to cheer for war or conflict. Being a military vet of 3 foreign wars, the goal is to think like a thinking growth investor, understanding what is happening, see where the money is flowing, and then decide whether certain defense and oil dividend stocks deserve a place on your watch list. If this is your first time to this channel, I am Jenny Jones. I am the founder of Growth Vision Media. Now, what we do here is we look at all different areas and aspects of your life to try to help you figure out what you can do to actually grow. We have Growth Vision Radio, which kind of goes a little bit more into detail, takes some of these topics offline and dives into a little bit deeper discussion, right? So this place, the YouTube channel, is to introduce you to concepts that you may not have thought about when it comes to growth, right? But Growth Vision Radio, that exists, that helps everyday people think clearly about money, risk, and opportunity in plain English. Now, for those who want a more structured path beyond free videos and just regular radio conversations, there is what we call the Growth Vision Campus and the Growth Vision Academy. The Growth Vision Campus has a hangout that's free as well. You can kind of join the hangout and just be a part of just everyday discussions on some of the topics that we may bring about. But if you want detailed step-by-step courses with live sessions in money management and investing, so you can build an actual plan and not just collect random stock ideas, then you want to get involved in the Growth Vision Academy. Now, the only reason why I bring up Trump and Venezuela and Greenland is because, hey, listen, Venezuela currently had sanctions against it, right? And let's start with Venezuela. Let's break it down a little bit further for you so you can get that. And I'm not going to hold you long here. I just want, these are things, when you come to my channel, I'm going to give you things to say, did I even think about that? Did I even know that? How can it benefit me as a person looking to grow in areas of my life, right? So when it comes to Venezuela, because that is where the oil story and the sanction stories kind of collide, right? The U.S. they still have sweeping sanctions on Venezuela's government and the oil sector. But Washington is increasingly using these special licenses, many of them involving Chevron, to reopen the door for U.S. companies to operate and export and extract Venezuela heavy crude under strict conditions. So the sanctions, they haven't really disappeared. That's the thing about it. And what you guys need to know is I don't have a dog in a fight. There's Republicans and Democrats, elephants and donkeys. I don't care. As long as the people that I'm working with and serving have the opportunity to grow, then that's what I care about, right? But getting back to the sanctions, they haven't really shifted from full-blown sanctions. They're more managed, right? They're managing them now, but only if you follow our rules, basically, right? So at the same time, Trump has revived a maximum pressure narrative around Venezuela, right? Kind of framing it as a security threat while talking openly about controlling Venezuela oil reserves and protecting sea lanes. This has some bigger ramifications, right? But that combination, sanctions with carve-outs plus stronger rhetoric and distractions, it kind of creates both risk and opportunity for certain U.S. companies. So now let's layer in Greenland, right? So you might say, well, what's Trump's interest in Greenland? What is this all about? It's really about an Arctic strategy, right? New sea lanes, right? And ice melts in proximity to Russia if you notice, you look at the map, it's US, then Canada, then Greenland. Ah, how could you go above Canada and then capture Greenland? But it's the potential of those resources that are under the ice. He has argued that US, they control or at least dominate an influence over Greenland and for national security, and has refused to rule out the use of force. Okay, what does that really mean, right? So, in practical terms, that is a conversation about Arctic bases, right? Submarines, right? When you think of things like that, you also think of long range bombers, right? They don't have to fly as long. A long range bomber that's really close up to Greenland can do a lot of damage anywhere else, right? Because long range bombers have to travel a long way. But if you can get more long range bombers in a shorter distance and do more damage, right? And missile defense as well. So all of these, they all require massive defense spending and technology. And what I want to do is I want to kind of show you a couple of different slides, and you have to follow the money when it comes to a lot of this stuff, right? Again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, elephant, donkey. It does not matter to me. I want you to be growing and sometimes taking an advantage of what may be an opportunity and others may miss. So in the corner, you got Venezuela, right? And the oil, right? And then in another corner, you have Greenland and Arctic security, right? So, and in the middle are the defense contractors, right? The people that are possibly getting the contracts. And then you have some select oil companies that stand to be affected by any sustained escalation or policy shift. That's what you need to understand. And that's what's at play here. And if you're going to be a follower of this channel, you're going to look different things and different angles. That's what we try to do. Being in the military for over 10 years taught me a lot of things, right? There's always some money to be made somewhere, right? Being a stockbroker for over 25 years, again, there's money to be made somewhere down the line, right? And so what we want to do is we want to put on a different set of lenses, right? And again, I am not one for war. Again, I've fought in a couple of them already. I'm not proud of them, right? But I got ribbons and stuff you'll see on my desk, on my wall. I got 82nd Airborne hat here. I'm not about war, but I'm all about growth, right? And the things that I learned from being in the military, they taught me a lot about discipline, and it taught me a lot about if you want to grow people in their particular areas, it requires a lot of difference. Now, before talking about specific stocks, this channel always comes back to a simple framework, right? And we are not providing any investment advice. We're just saying some things that you need to look at, right? So thinking growth, understand the mission, right? Not just a ticker symbol, right? And if you're not familiar with what a ticker symbol is, again, there are courses that you can possibly take on our growth, on Growth Vision Media and or the Growth Vision Academy that can assist you with that, right? So a lot of this is thinking about, follow long-term cash flows. We don't want to just follow headlines. Like a lot of people may just be following headlines, but we're not into the following headlines business. So what we want to do is we want to take advantage of any opportunities that may come up, right? So we want to focus on businesses that have a track record, right? Of, sharing those cash flows with shareholders. That is when I first got into investing, right? When I first became a stockbroker, which to me changed my life, right? Because I was finally able to understand what was going on. And then I ended up getting a master's degree in investments. I can really see clearly now. It's like, oh, this is what's going on. And a lot of people think it's about Republicans and Democrats. Really, it's about the haves and the have-nots. Who's making moves when they actually should be making moves, right? So when it comes to companies about sharing cash flows with shareholders through dividends, you have to, and a dividend is just a return of profits back to shareholders. That is a dividend, right? Not guaranteed, right? But so that's what a dividend is. Every now and then I'll try to give you a definition just in case. All right. So what is it about the shared information and education? These are not personalized recommendations, and always do your own research and consult a licensed financial professional before investing. I know a lot of YouTubers or social media people, they're like, oh, I'll just get my advice off of this person. I'll learn about crypto here. Well, when you're getting it from an unlicensed professional, you got to take it at your own risk, right? So this channel, we give you ideas and concepts, but you should always act on your own research and consult a licensed financial professional before investing. All right, so let's look at the two different lanes here. There's lane one, right? There's defense stocks, and then there's dividends, right? That's the first lane. So the first lane is defense. So one of the things I want to show you is I want to show you here as we look at the top US defense stocks. I want you to watch in periods of heightened conflict. It highlights 5 key contractors, right? And this is as a past. And again, no past investment results can guarantee future results, right? So I have to tell you that. Any investor will tell you that. Any type of red herring or any type of investment manager will tell you, hey, I can't guarantee what's going to happen in the future, but you got to look at a company like Lockheed Martin, right? I'm not even going to give you, well, I'll give you the ticker symbol. It's LMT. Now, a quick hack on Google is $ LMT, and it's going to bring up Lockheed Martin. It's going to give you the stock on that. But you have to think that a core supplier of F-35s and F-22 fighter jets, right? Patriot and the THAAD missile systems and space assets. That is Lockheed Martin. Now, let me give you another one. And again, you can go $ RTX, press enter. And this happens on any Google browser or when you go to Google, right? So RTX Corporation, they provide Patriot missiles, right? These systems, these are advanced sensors and what they call Pratt and Whitney engines, right? That power many military aircraft, right? And so then let me give you another one. Northrop Grumman, right? NOC, a $ NOC, right? They make the B-21 stealth bombers. They're part of that program. And plus they have hypersonic missiles, right? They have autonomous systems, and I think they have space technology as well. And then there's another one, right? An oldie but goodie, right? And it's kind of more, I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but I really have memories of this one as an 18-year-old. So General Dynamics, right? General Dynamics builds Abrams tanks, right? These are the land tanks. They make Stryker vehicles and nuclear submarines for the U.S. Navy, right? So when I hear Abrams tanks as an 18-year-old, I saw one for the first time when I was stationed in Europe, right? And again, crazy stuff. But this is the stuff I'm not going to say I'm fascinated with it, but I've seen it up close and personal and from playing Call of Duty and Battlefield, of course, right? So then there's one more, the last one, that's fifth stock, is the Huntington Ingalls Industry, right? Or the ticker symbol is HII. And again, Northrop Grumman was, General Dynamics is GD, right? The largest U.S. military shipbuilder is Huntington, right? They're responsible for aircraft carriers and submarines, right? So these are the companies that sit directly in the path of the money when Washington wants to secure sea lanes near Venezuela or reinforce Arctic and North Atlantic defenses around Greenland, right? So let's look at the dividend play or the dividend aspect of this, right? Let's look at another chart here. Let's look at another analysis looking at the 6 major defensive names, right? So let's go through them again, right? We have General Dynamics. We talked about it. We talked about Lockheed Martin. We talked about Northrop Grumman. We talked about Huntington Ingalls, and we talked about RTX and, of course, Boeing, right? So out of those 6, only 5 currently pay a regular dividend, right? As of the taping of this video on the 19th of January, 2026. As of that date, not all 6, but 5 of them, the only one that does not pay one is Boeing. Boeing used to pay a dividend for a long time, but they suspended it in 2020 and has not brought it back, right? They suspended sharing profits with investors, whether it be small investors, large investors. They just have they've cut that off and it's suspended and they haven't brought it back. So let me give you some of the key dividend stats from the report of um, GD or General Dynamics. So about $6 per share annually. That's roughly it's 1.65% yield. And what I want to do is I'm going to go deeper with you on some of these I'm going to talk about this on the next episode on um, Growth Vision Radio. So again, go to growthvisionradio.com. It's free, right? Download it and we'll talk about it. And you can carry it around with you, right? It's going to be a podcast episode. You can carry on with you. It's a private podcast. It's not for everybody to consume. I only want it to be exclusive for people who really have a growth mindset. And we'll get into the rest of the stocks as well. And we'll have a deeper conversation. I want to wrap this video up because it's been too long already. I kind of want to wrap this video up. So I want to wrap it up really with this. All right. So now when it comes to looking at the Venezuela, you're looking at companies like Chevron and Valero, right? And so I'll get into deep dive on that when you come to Growth Vision Radio, right? But when you look at both lanes, the common thread is long-term cash flow and dividends, right? Both of those are positioning themselves for long-term cash flows and dividends if you look at them, right? So the defensive names that I talked about, they have multi-decade, when it comes to Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics and all of those, they have a decades of dividend growth streaks, right? And the energy names like Chevron in nearly 4 decades of dividends that increases, right? So neither one of these, that does not eliminate risk, right? But it does give you a different starting point when chasing headlines alone, right? So what we try to do here, how to make sense of all of this, right? Trump, Venezuela, Greenland's defense, oil, dividends can get overwhelming pretty fast. That is why this channel is built around an education first mission, right? So on Growth Vision Radio, they're a little bit longer, probably, and it goes another 15 to 20, 25 minutes or so. They're a little bit longer. The more relaxed conversations about how to connect with real world events to your personal money decisions without any hype, right? So inside the Growth Vision Academy, the goal is to take you into topics just like this: defense stocks, stocks that when you see an economy is expanding, right? When the economy is contracting, right? Dividend paying stocks, growth paying stocks, aggressive growth and income stocks. We get into a lot of that training at the Academy, right? Oil exposure, dividend strategies, and try to plug them into a simple, repeatable process for building a portfolio and managing risk. That is just 1/3 of what we do at the Growth Vision Academy. We also have an AI growth school that we're taking people all the way up, side hustles, everything, so that they can expand. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. What the best thing you can probably do. So instead of, waking up every time there's a new headline, right? Running to YouTube or running to the internet, trying to see what's going on, right? Anytime you see a headline about a strike in Venezuela or a standoff in Greenland and asking, what do I buy now? The idea is to build a base plan first and then decide how or if defense and oil names fit into your overall plan. I don't even know if it fits into your overall plan, but that's kind of what you want to do. You need to know, what do I buy now, right? The idea, again, like I said, you got to have a base plan, right? So before I sign off here, and I want to try to make this clear in every video that I do when it involves investing. And I think it's very, very clear, right? I've been in the investing field for 25, almost 30 years now. And I do need to tell you 2 quick, but very important points. Again, this video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial, legal, or tax advice. Please get that out there, because some people are taking it and says, oh, well, the Growth Vision said to do this and do that. No, I'm giving you concepts so you can think. And what I would do, and even validate myself even more, is I would run it by my advisor. I would run it by, someone is giving you your financial advice says, hey, I heard a guy say this. What do you think about that? Because I'm risk adverse, I don't even like risk myself in my own portfolios. I like good investment returns on my money, right? And I have to tell you again, past performance, whether it's a 30-year dividend streak or whether it's increasing dividends every single year for the last 20 years or last 30 years, which some of these stocks have done, or any type of large stock gain, it does not guarantee future results. So the job here is to give you tools and perspective, growth perspective, right? Not to tell you what to buy. That's not where we're still like, hey, have you thought about this as far as growth perspective? So if you involved in my channel any at all, I have a growth mindset. I want people to grow in different areas of their lives. And that's why I push education first, and so that you understand, right? So if this was helpful, here are 3 simple next steps you can do. You could, 1, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. The reason why I want you to turn on notifications because I don't come online as often. I have so many things that I'm creating and so many courses that I'm writing and so many students in my communities. I don't come online that often. So you probably want to hit the bell notification just in case you don't want to miss. Anytime I come, I'm coming strong and I'm coming hard. Now, I am going to possibly be doing some lives later. I'm going to be walking you through how I research different stocks and different things like that for my portfolio and some of my clients' portfolios, right? So the first thing you can do is subscribe. Again, like I said, turn on bell notifications. You do not want to miss any of my breakdowns that I do, all right, about markets and real world events. I'm going to start trying to bring you more real world events and how they may affect you and your investing, right? So second thing is you want to tune into Growth Vision Radio for deeper dives on when it comes to defensive stocks, oil, and or dividends, right? And when you go to Growth Vision Radio, that's where more time I'm going to be able to unpack a lot of those themes, right? It might fit into your overall strategy. I don't know, but I know you can probably learn something from it from Growth Vision Radio. Again, this has been Jenny Jones. Thank you for tuning in here. Growth Vision Media. That's what we're about. Growth mindset. We're going to make it happen. Hey, you guys have been great out there. Till next time. Goodbye for now.